and welcome to another Knitty Heather Scrap. My name is Heather and I'm coming to you from Kent, Washington, where I live with my husband and our Cavalier King Charles Spaniel Pepper. Today what I'd like to talk about is blocking. I just finished a few projects that require blocking, and so I thought I would take you along my adventure in getting those looking as beautiful as I can get them to look. I am by no means a professional blocker, but I have learned a few tips and tricks along the way, and so I thought I would share those with you today.
Hey guys, so this is my Stillness shawl by Helen Stewart. There are some lacy parts, and as you can see, it looks like a little bit of a mess. And so this is kind of just an example I'm using to show before you block what things look like. In this section right here, there's some holes, some nice yarn overs that will be opened up really nicely. Here you'll be able to see these special star stitches a little better after blocking. This one is a lot of eyelets that will look a lot nicer after it's blocked. And then down here in this last section, same idea. As you can see, there's some really pretty yarn overs, but I have to stretch it in order to be able to see it. So wait to see what this will look like after blocking.
So why do you block? Well, the main reason you block is to open things up, especially with lace, and just get them looking their best. A lot of times with a lace piece, what makes them lacy are little eyelets made with yarn overs, the little holes. And unless you block those out, really pin it out and stretch it out nicely, they're just not going to show up to their full potential. So it's important, especially with anything lace, that you do block it, otherwise it just won't be as pretty as it otherwise could. That being said, if you are working on your first lace project and it looks like a mess, kind of like I showed earlier with my Stillness shawl, don't worry, it will look a lot better after blocking. One other thing I would like to say, in my experience, blocking works the best with animal fibers. I haven't really ever had too much success blocking out cotton or acrylic, so keep that in mind if you're choosing yarn for something like a lace project that's going to need to be blocked out. Started, let's talk a little bit about some of the tools there are available out there for blocking. Now, really all you actually need are some pins and then somewhere that you can pin things into. It could be a mattress, it could even be, if you have a nice carpet, pinning it into your carpet or something. What I have are blocking mats, and they are kind of the puzzle piece kind, where you can put them together to make whatever shape or how big you need them. And the kind I have are from Knit Picks. However, there's lots of different styles available. A lot of them have grids, which I think if I ever get another set, I would like to get some with grids so that you can really measure out and make straight lines with your shawls or whatever it is that you're trying to block using the grid markings on the blocking mats. That would be really helpful. But I do have some blocking mats and then pins. The kind of pins that I do prefer are T-pins, but just regular sewing pins will work just fine. I also have the Knitter's Pride knit blockers, which have the little prongs. There's two different sizes, and those really help you not having to use as many pins, and it also helps with kind of the scalloping that you can get sometimes if you don't put the pins close enough. So those save you a lot of time and are a really nice blocking tool to have. I also have some blocking wires. Again, not totally necessary, but they are helpful. In this case, I use them to help stretch out a cowl that I was blocking, which I'll show in just a minute. Those are often used for shawls as well, and you string them through whatever edge of shawls and you can kind of pull them tight using just a few pins. And those are the main blocking tools that I use, let me know in the comments below. Is there anything that I am missing? Is there something else that you use to block, especially shawls, that I don't have? Let me know. Before you lay something out to block, you need to wash it. I love to use the soak wash. You can also use Eucalan. Anything that's a non-rinse wash, specifically designed for knits and wool, is really what you want to use. So you're going to let it soak for at least 30 minutes. And then what I like to do is what is known as the burrito method. And that is you kind of squish the water out gently. You don't need to totally wring it out or anything like that. But squish the water out gently and then lay it flat on a towel. Roll that towel up and then stomp on it. You will be surprised at how much water gets soaked up just with the towel. It will be about halfway dry already once you do that. Then is when you're gonna set it out and pin it out how you like on your blocking mats or your mattress, however you're going to block it. The first item I wanted to block was my Sugar Pie Honey Bunch shawl by Laura Concert. And I finished this shawl using her Christmas in July Advent minis, which was so much fun. I really enjoyed each section of this pattern, and I think the colors really came together very beautifully. So I'm super happy with how it looks, but there are a lot of sections with eyelets that needed to be blocked out. What I did with that is I filled my little tub with water and I used soak, which is a non-rinse special detergent for knits and wool fabrics. So I let that soak up a little bit and let it sit for about 30 minutes. And I put out my blocking mats, pinned it out to approximately the triangle shape that it was supposed to be. The main thing I was trying to do with that one is simply to open up the different eyelets that were in some of the sections that had yarn overs. The next item I wanted to block was my Land of Sweets cowl by Helen Stewart. This was another Christmas in July Advent project that I used minis from Christy of Yarn Cafe Creations. So with that one, there were also a couple sections that needed to have their eyelets kind of stretched out. I stuck the blocking wires, one blocking wire through each side, and then I kind of pulled it out tight and held it in place with a few of my knit blockers. That was all it needed to kind of stretch out and dry. Speaking of drying, one thing I should mention is that when you are blocking something and you need to let it dry, so it's very helpful if you can have a ceiling fan or another kind of fan blowing right on it. I did it in our bedroom, which has a ceiling fan, and then I just pulled the fan that we use for our exercise equipment over and had it really blowing directly on it, on all of the items. That really helps cut the drying time dramatically. Now I'm pretty lucky. Pepper, my little dog, does not usually seem very interested in knits, but another tip to remember is that if you do have pets that might get into your knitwear, put it in a room where you can close the door so they don't get into it. The last item that I needed to block was my Stillness shawl by Helen Stewart. I used some knit style yarns for that. Stay tuned for more details on all those projects and my yarn in my next podcast coming soon. But with that one, I needed to do the same thing, soak in my water, let it be. I probably let that one go for about an hour. And then I rolled it up in the burrito method with the towel and laid it out. Now this one I did use both the knit blockers and individual T-pins so that I could get each little piece of the edge nicely stretched out. That one took the most time and I would say it was the most complicated to block, but well worth the effort. It turned out absolutely gorgeous. Stuff like that just needs to be blocked. Otherwise it's not letting the piece show its full beauty. Last but not least, I thought I'd talk a little bit about how I block my socks. Usually I do a load of my knit socks about every other week or so, and I don't always put them on sock blockers like you will see here, but I do put them in a lingerie bag. I have a special hand wash setting on my washing machine, which does cool water. Usually I only do no more than like 5 pairs of socks at a time, but I throw them in my lingerie bag, stick it in the washer, squeeze a little soak in, and then put it on my hand wash setting. Then when it's done, I usually do stick as many as I can on my sock blockers just because it does make them look really nice, but you absolutely don't have to do that. If you don't have any sock blockers or don't want to put them on sock blockers, just lay them flat to dry, or you can drape them over another drying rack or something like that. And usually I find that they are dry within about 24 hours. With all these projects that I recently blocked, they were done pretty much within 24 hours. Thank you so much for joining me for this little scrap about blocking. I hope that helped give you some ideas of some things that can help you block your knitwear. Again, let me know if you have any other tips or tricks. Let me know what the most interesting thing you have blocked has ever been. And do you bother blocking your socks or not? Am I just kind of weird that I like to put them on sock blockers, or do other people do that too? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you have any comments on anything else, whether it be ideas for little scraps or content that you would like to see in the podcast, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please consider liking and subscribing. I really appreciate that, and it genuinely helps out my channel. I am Knitty Heather on Instagram if you would like to follow me there. I would love to connect with you. Thank you again, and until next time, be well, be kind, and happy knitting. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.